Let's get into GoodDollar itself and the mechanics of it. So on the site, you say it uses free market forces and the principles of social investing to create a stream of free digital currency. And I think eToro, of all platforms, and you particularly, I think you understand what social investing actually is. And then it says anyone can receive real free reserve-backed crypto straight to your phone, so you don't need to invest in order to participate and learn. This sounds too good to be true. How does it work?
So first, let's understand, and that's why across time we said because eventually I believe that the structure can solve financial inequality, right? I believe in universal basic income as a concept, and that everybody around the world should be able to participate in the digital economy. But trying to solve for inequality is a very big problem. So we tried to say, okay, let's look at a three-step process. First, financial education. I think every person in the world, billions of people, should have the ability to have a blockchain-based digital asset in a non-custodial wallet for free. So everybody should be able to experiment with digital assets. And that's sort of the first pillar of what we've built. We said every person in the world can go into gooddollar.org and start claiming GoodDollar and send and receive to everybody around the world. And that doesn't have any cost basis. So that's for sure not too good to be true. Everybody can do that. Second layer is financial inclusion. If you assume this is a decentralized autonomous organization that's running these smart contracts, then anybody around the world can now claim these GoodDollars. And again, this is all blockchain based. It's a protocol. And again, not too good to be true and already happening. And the third is value. And I call this hacking value. And if you think about currency in general, currency is a concept. It's our belief, right? So when people in Israel trade, use the shekels, or in the US dollars, or in Europe euro, they believe in the value of the currency, and that's really what's running the economy. Everybody's belief in the currency. What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin's belief. Bitcoin is a belief that it is important to have a deflationary asset and that is a store of value. Bitcoin potentially can replace gold and the digital world even be bigger than gold, right? It's a supply and demand. Supply and demand is based on belief. So I'll just give you an example. So GoodDollars today are obviously very far from one GoodDollar equals $1. But if somebody believes in the ecosystem, let's say suddenly Google says, or Apple say, anything you want to buy from Apple, you can buy in one GoodDollar equals $1, in these countries. Then they automatically now peg the value of GoodDollar to the dollar, right? And that's a decision of one company to do. Now, this entire infrastructure is based on a reserve system. So when people actually buy GoodDollars, so we at eToro bought GoodDollars, we also donated, we're also staking into the GoodDollar protocol. So when we're staking into the GoodDollar protocol, we're staking $1 million. Those $1 million generate yield through things like Compound and Aave. That yield gets into the reserve, and it increases the value of the GoodDollar. And we at eToro, we don't risk money. We just waive our right to interest rate, which, if you remember what I said before, is the problem is that people expect that the richer you are, you have more access to interest rates, sometimes even better interest rates. If you're willing to waive those interest rates, that yield, and give it to the GoodDollar, you're not risking your funds. You're just waiving your interest rate, and that interest rate goes into the reserve, increasing the value of GoodDollar to anybody who holds GoodDollar. People can actually buy GoodDollar from the reserve in Ethereum or in DAI, and then they add money into the reserve. They get GoodDollars, but then the reserve increases as well, and therefore, again, GoodDollar prices increase. So there's two parts for how do we create value to the GoodDollar. One is by usage. The more people use GoodDollar to sell goods and services, to buy goods and services, that automatically creates value. So I'm sure A lot of people understand token economics today, definitely more than 5 years ago. The more volume and velocity you have in an ecosystem, it actually generates value to the token itself. So the more people who buy and sell in GoodDollars actually generate good. It increases the value of the GoodDollar. Therefore, it increases the value for everybody who's collecting and claiming GoodDollars every day. And on the other hand, there's the reserve, and the reserve is a fractional reserve. The more money you have in the reserve, it actually increases the price of GoodDollar a bit more. So we've built something that potentially can scale. I used to give this an example. Hopefully, Elon Musk bought now Twitter for $40 billion. But when we looked at the scale of this concept, if somebody like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg decided to put in $5 billion into the GoodDollar, that would automatically scale the entire GoodDollar economy and value to actually provide for hundreds of millions of dollars of universal basic income every year to people who claim it. So it has that leverage effect, because the more money there is in the reserve, the more value basically the GoodDollar has to everybody who's collecting it. So in our view, this is hacking something that exists today called fractional reserve banking, right? That's how the entire economy works on fractional reserve. But it's hacking it into the point of saying, if it's a parallel economy and people want to actually stake or donate money into that smart contract, it can increase the value of GoodDollars for everybody who owns GoodDollar, uses GoodDollar for buying and selling services.